immediately after Parliament was occupied. That's that statement he put out when he called people treacherous and criminals, and we had seen people being killed on TV, and him asking for, and then it was reported that he tried to get the military deployed that night, and the military said no.
There is no Kenyan who doesn't recognize his very significant contributions towards like human rights and multi-party democracy in Kenya. We applaud him for that, but that does not mean that he's always right. And on this specific issue, Baba is wrong. The young people are not asking you to go and speak on their behalf. They have not also asked. You're a stakeholder, and in fact, rightfully so. The country belongs to all of us. They are not also asking for any more commissions. You had BBI, you had this new.
You've previously run for office, Dr. Ngusi.
Yeah.
What is it about the ongoing situation that the political class is still not getting in Kenya? You saw Azimio leader Raila Odinga earlier in the week attempt to start a handshake process. If you had access to his office in Upper Hill, what would you be telling Baba? And you're also a member of the ODM party.
Yeah.
What would you be telling Baba?
So I'll tell him what other young legislators from the party told him.
Yeah.
The day after, Senator Gisheru Okech from Migori, and I believe also Senator Edwin Sifuna, went to Baba and they told him, this is not what the young people want.
Yeah.
Right? And if he's going to fall in line with what the Ruto regime wants, it's a departure from what the young people are saying, right? Baba he has very strong credentials, and there's no Kenyan who doesn't recognize his very significant contributions towards like human rights and multi-party democracy in Kenya. We applaud him for that, but that does not mean that he's always right. And on this specific issue, Baba is wrong. The young people are not asking you to go and speak on their behalf. They have not also asked. You're a stakeholder, and in fact, rightfully so. The country belongs to all of us. They are not also asking for any more commissions. You had BBI, you had this new process last year, NADCO. Yeah. We are done with that. We know what needs to be done, and if he wants to be on the right side of history, he should stand on the side of Gen Z.
Okay.
Right.
So very simple. He should just stand on the side of Gen Z.
And he said, initially he said that Gen Z told him to sit aside.
Yeah. And
let them deal with this issue. And they have dealt with it very decisively, and they've given their demands.
Yeah.
So let that happen. Then after the fact, after we are done with all these proposals to reduce the tax burden, to deal with corrupt officials that we know are still in government, to deal with police brutality, to get rid of all these people who are from the same communities in government agencies. After that, tell us about what we can do to talk.
Yeah, and I think because this thing has happened so fast, people, these are systems that people have learned over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So you don't just unlearn them, because this thing has been flipped upside down.
The script has been flipped.
It has been flipped. It's kind of like you've been a taxi driver for 30 years. You've built knowledge of the streets, without using a GPS. And then overnight, Uber pops up, like a guy from high school, or maybe a guy who's not even ever done this business
from a different city.
Yeah, from a different, doesn't even know the town, does a 30-minute training and can do that work more efficiently than you.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult
thing
to digest.
They're defaulting
to what they know.
To what they know.
Yes.
But they need to start paying attention to the fact that even the leadership of Gen Z, if I was Ruto's security chief, I'd go and tell him,
yeah,
the leadership of Gen Z is distributed. That's a new concept in leadership.
Yes.
There is no one person who's sitting there and giving instructions that you can go and find either to talk to or to deal with.
Yeah, and that's
you will have to finish a whole generation if you want to do that.
I was going to say, I think somebody mentioned in the comments, the times are different. You cannot run the Moi program today.
Yes.
You can't. you know. And one thing that also has plagued his administration is communication. For some reason, it's like they don't know how to communicate, and they're not learning that. For example, remember the I think, and this was last year when he had the roundtable with Akina Sam Gituku, I think Abdikadir.
Ayub Abdikadir.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, he was trying to explain member of the housing levy.
Yeah.
And he was just getting pummeled. He's being asked questions, very simple questions. Is it anchored in law? Which law? He really doesn't know. He doesn't know. And that is why you're supposed to get your cabinet, your cabinet ministers to answer questions. Like now, for example, it took Alice Wahome to go and start explaining about the land issue, about the taxes and everything, and the miscommunication, misinformation. His advisor, his own advisor on matters health, is the one who was explaining. I did a good job of explaining what SHIF was, how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
It's one thing on paper, it's good.
Yeah.
Practicality is another story. But however, it's a matter of letting the experts, your subject matter experts, handle that. He has not been. He wants to do everything.
But no, but I think also part of the problem is that the communication team that he has around him, because he had been lauded for being a very good communicator, you know, like all these times during campaigns, and
it kind of got into his head.
So it kind of got into his head. But I think now the communication team that he moved forward with were people who are all about public relations and telling people feel good messages. But now when you're governing, when
the rubber meets the road,
you know, that doesn't work anymore. Because remember, even on that interview that he did with Linus Kaikai, Joageo,
is it Linus or Linus?
Linus and Joageo and
Eric Latif.
Yes. Remember, like what he was saying, even after everything, he still kept saying that the finance bill was good, and the problem was that his communication team was not able to communicate to people and tell them how good it is. That's what he was saying on the interview.
But then, you also have to realize one thing.
Yeah.
It's that, and again I'll say, the thing is, his arrogance and his people's arrogance is what put him here.
As I said,
it doesn't
earlier,
matter.
Right?
It doesn't matter how much how much articulate he is. It doesn't matter how much Hussein and the communication team is trying to polish and coach him on what to do. They have an arrogance in them that they will always think they were above the law. Because remember, immediately after Parliament was occupied, that statement he put out when he called people treacherous and criminals, and we had seen people being killed on TV, and him asking for, and then it was reported that he tried to get the military deployed that night, and the military said no.
And I think that's, by the way, I want to point out, allow me to interject.
Let me finish real quick, and then I'm going to get back to you. So you see, it gets, so it's the arrogance, it's them, it's that bad governance that got into them that's put them where they are. Right now they're trying to clean it up, and it's so bad that you cannot clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, like ulipewa nini uchemshe chakula, umefanya imeungua mpaka imekwama kwa sufuria unajaribu kusugua watu wasijue aiezi. So because this one you cannot even, actually his PR team are trying by getting him into the spaces, trying to get him into you see, like even trying to do pressers, both of them, like to try to show like they're a unit of, like, but it's hard. It's hard to, it's hard. Umechoma, watu wako wamechoma. There was so much bad blood on this finance bill. Like members of parliament were telling people like, mlinichagua lakini sasa nafanya kenye mdosi wangu ameniambia. Like people are telling others like, nimeiba ya kutosha, I don't need a second term.